Welcome back to Friday the 13th YouTube channel, my heads. So today we're going to be talking about a new band from the UK. They're called Alchemy Fire. They've just released their debut album, and I've got to say I'm very impressed. Check it out, metalheads. Now, this band was formed back in 2018 in Nottingham, UK by longtime guitarist and songwriter Paul Wright. Paul's also joined by Tom Schofield on drums. We'd have David Reed Watson on vocals. We'd have Felipe Kopke on bass guitar, Neil Taylor on keyboards, and drummer and guitarist Dwayne Dorman. Joining Paul in the band would also be Tom Schofield on drums. We'd have David Reed Watson on vocals. We'd have Felipe Kopke on bass guitar, Neil Taylor on keyboards, and guitarist Dwayne Dorman, who was also in the band Onslaught. So joining Paul in the band would have Paul would also be in a band called Deezl. The band is the band that are inspired by such bands as Halloween, Iron Maiden, Queensryche, Judas Priest, and you can definitely hear these types of bands in their music. It's a great debut album. It's self-financed. It's a fantastic album, guys. This album you need to check out on this band. They're definitely going to go places. There's a lot of potential for the next album, writing stronger songs, but for a debut, this is an impressive debut. Now, the band are inspired by such bands as Iron Maiden, Halloween, Queensryche, and Judas Priest. You can definitely hear this in the debut album. It's a very strong album. And at times, this album also reminds me of an old English band that some of you guys will probably know, Balance of Power, another great band. So this is a fantastic debut album. It's very strong, and there's definite potential for the next album to be even stronger. Released on Qumran Records. I'm going to send you a link for you to check out a song from the album and also where you can order the album. Now, the album cover is pretty interesting. It's got like an Egyptian sort of like pentagram, as you may see. Now, the artwork for this album is pretty impressive. It kind of reminds me of the old Egyptian days. You'll see the album cover as we're talking about this album. But if you go on the band's website, the album cover looks more in detail. I'm not know why the band didn't actually use the... Looking at the album covers, you'll see as I'm talking about this review, kind of reminds me of the old Egyptian days. Kind of reminds me of a band called Hades, who did an album called Resistant Success back in the 80s. I'd have to say the artwork on the actual website is more impressive than the album cover. I don't know why the band didn't use the artwork for the website on the album cover, but for some reason they haven't, but it still doesn't... I like the artwork for the album cover on the website. It seems to be more in detail, and I'm not sure why the band didn't use the artwork for the website on the album cover, but the songs are fantastic. So never judge a book by its cover, folks. This album was recorded at Monster Track Studios in Newark in Nottingham. The album was aided with the help by Nisha Nicole, who was also known with Tony. The album was also helped. The album was produced by Ulrich Wild in Los Angeles with the aid of the band, and also with the help of Mika Nikolak. This album contains 9 songs. The opening track would be called Alchemy, Modern Hero, Dust from Bone. So this album contains 9 songs. I'm going to tell you what the song titles are for this album. We'd open up with Alchemy, Modern Hero, Dust from Bone, SDI, Sacred Deep Reflections, I Am Your Sorrow, Native Son, What You Say, The Warrior, and the last song, O'Connor Class. So that's the song titles for this album. So I'm going to give you a little rundown what I think about the album, what the songs sound like. The first song, Alchemy, is a really interesting song. It's very powerful. It's very reflects. Opening track, Alchemy, is a fantastic opening track. It's very powerful. It's very progressive, and it's very power metal. So you get the vibe of progressive music with power metal. Kind of like I said, it comes across a little bit like Balance of Power, a little bit of Pagans Mind, a slight hint of Evergrey, but it's a very interesting song. Very powerful music, fantastic vocals, and a very interesting production. It's got a nice, crisp, powerful production. Next song, Modern Hero, is a fantastic second song. It's very melodic, it's very powerful, it's very progressive. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Dream 13 Places, but I tend not to say too much. Next song is called Modern Hero. This certainly has a lot of balance of power in there, but it also has Pagans Mind, Circus Maximus. It's very Scandinavian places, but it's still a powerful song. And you wouldn't listen, and listening to the band, you wouldn't think they were a British band. They're a very impressive band for a debut album. It's a fantastic release. I can see this band writing some great albums in the very near future. Next song is called Modern Hero. This is pretty much like a lot of Scandinavian bands, particularly Pagans Mind, Circus Maximus. There's also a little bit of Dark Water in there. But you listen to them, you wouldn't think they're a British band. They're a very impressive UK band with an impressive debut album. I just hope the next album can up this album, because this is a fantastic debut album. Vocalist David Reed Watson is a really powerful singer. He's got a really strong voice. It's difficult to say who he sounds like, but he's got a really, really strong, powerful voice, like those like Jeff Tate's and the Halloween Andy Dias. He's a fantastic singer all around. He's a fan. Frontman David Reed Watson is a very powerful singer. It's very difficult to say who he sounds like, but he certainly has the range of Andy Dias and probably Jeff Tate in places. He's a fantastic vocalist. Live, I'm looking forward to seeing him live. I presume he can. Now, frontman David Reed Watson is a very powerful singer. It certainly suits the music. The music is really well blended with his vocals. All around, the band are fantastic musicians writing a great debut album. Now, I particularly like the third song. It's called Dust from Burn. It's got a really catchy chorus, beautiful guitar arrangements, powerful vocals, and a rhythm section which is very powerful indeed. It's very melodic, and it kind of reminds me of Pagan's Mind, maybe a little bit of Circus Maximus. So please check this song out, guys. It's called Dust from Burn. It's called Dust from Burn. The more I listen to this album, the more it reminds me more of Balance of Power. Balance of Power wrote some great albums with Lance King on vocals. So if you really like the Balance of Power material, then please check out Alchemy Fire. This is a brilliant album for a debut, and it's an impressive debut for an English band. Now, I'm impressed with this debut album. Like I said, it's a lot of Balance of Power music in this album. So if you're a fan of Balance of Power with Lance King on vocals, a little bit of Pagan's Mind in there, please check out this album by Alchemy Fire. It's a self-financed album. It's a self-titled album, and it's a really interesting album. So I'm going to say this is a brilliant album, guys. Check it out. It's a debut album by a British band. I'm going to give this album 4 out of 5. I'm looking forward to seeing the future. I'll listen to the future. So, Metalheads, if you're a fan of Balance of Power from the UK with Lance King on vocals, you're really going to like this album. It kind of reminds me of little Balance of Power's little brother, but there's also elements of progressive bands from Europe and Scandinavia, like I've already mentioned. Check it out, folks. For a debut album and a British band, it's absolutely fantastic album. I'm going to give this 4 out of 5. I'm going to leave you a link at the end so you can check out the song. So please check it out. I wish the band all the best. Stay metal, Metalheads. More albums coming soon.